Well, for more on Faraday Future, I'm joined from Portland by Sarah Shelton. She's an automotive journalist with US News and World Report. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So how surprised are you at where Faraday Future is now, considering where it started?
You know, unfortunately, I'm not very surprised. They've had a number of challenging years leading up to where we are now with them. Part of the issue that we've seen with Faraday Future is that even before they began laying off employees earlier this year, they already were seeing a lot of their top leaders, including some co-founders, leave the company. One of these was Richard Kim. He was the VP of design. He was known for helping with the BMW i3 and the i8. And unfortunately, he left earlier this year.
So were there any early warnings about this insolvency happening and the major reasons behind it?
Well, I think, unfortunately, there's been some other controversy with the CEO, Zhao Yuting, and his management of funds with some of his other companies, like LeEco. And so there have definitely been concerns over where's the cash flow going. You know, from January to July, he went through $800 billion. Originally, as of last year, they were hoping that we would see deliveries starting this month of his all-electric SUV, and we're not even close to that. We haven't even seen a fully production vehicle yet.
So was it a case of spreading himself too thin? Because you mentioned LeEco, there's also LeC, LeTV. What exactly happened with all these other different spin-off companies?
You know, there's been a little bit of controversy over the link between LeC and Faraday Future. I know that there were concerns that Zhao was raising money for Faraday, but then using those resources to help build his LeC electric car. You know, you can see some of the overlap when you look at the body style and the steering wheels, for example. And so I think that that he is definitely, instead of focusing on one product that he can bring to market, I unfortunately think that he's been a little bit all over the map in that regards.
So for the people who do still have hope, is there still reason to hope based on what you're seeing?
For Faraday Future, not so much. The problem is that Faraday sees that they need another $500 million in order to bring this car to production. And the problem is they don't have anything to offer investors, and they don't have a product that's available right now.
So if you're a startup, what do you need funding-wise or collaboration-wise to be able to compete in this electric or intelligent car world?
In order to build an electrified car, the cash that you need is fairly astronomical. I know that Tesla, at the end of Q2, they had spent $700 million just in that quarter alone. That gives you a little bit of an idea of what kind of cash you need to be operating a company like this. But I think that it's also really imperative that you have a healthy relationship with a joint venture in China. China is not only the global leader when it comes to passenger sales for passenger cars, but it's also the global leader for EV sales as well.
So what does this failure mean then for other companies in this space? What can they do to try and avoid this fate?
There are definitely a couple things that I think any startup company needs to put right up front and center with their goals. The first is definitely you can't bite off so much so fast. Faraday trying to build an 1,000 horsepower electric car. That's a fringe vehicle. It's going to be a very low production unit. You know, Tesla, as soon as they started shifting to a vehicle that a lot more consumers could see themselves buying, could afford themselves buying, they've seen a much better financial situation. So I think that slowing down, looking at something that is actually going to be more popular among a larger group of consumers. And like I said, I think it's also going to need to, you're going to need to make a relationship with a joint venture in China. I think that's definitely key.
So if you look at companies like Tesla, you're looking at one of the bigger companies, and you also have these other startups. Just how hard of a sell is it for investors, given some of the cautionary tales that are out there?
Part of the trick with this is that this is a product that has very low profit margin. And so especially when you're Faraday, they designed more than 1,000 parts for their vehicle on their own. So when you're looking to go kind of so far off the map, I think it starts to make investors nervous about where is that profit margin going to be, and where are those expenses, how high are those expenses going to be?
All right, thank you so much for your insights. Sarah Shelton there, automotive journalist at US News and World Report.